Now, former President John Dramani Mahama has toured the Volta region as part of his Building the Ghana We Want initiative aimed to gather perspectives to shape the NDC's 2024 election manifesto. Engaging with local chiefs and residents, Mr. Mahama sought their views on the aspirations for the ex-NDC government, while also outlining the party's vision for the region.
The tour, which concluded after 2 days, is geared towards constructing a 2024 ground-up manifesto akin to the successful People's Manifesto of 2020. Mr. Mahama emphasized that this approach will guide the NDC in formulating plans to address key issues that genuinely concern the people.
Based on the suggestions and contributions that they made, we came out in 2020 with what we call the People's Manifesto. 4 years have passed since 2020, and we're in an election year again. This current tour is seeking to update the knowledge that we got from the previous tour. 4 years have passed, things have changed, times have gotten more difficult. In 2020, when we were writing the People's Manifesto, Ghana had not declared bankruptcy. We did not have a debt restructuring exercise. We did not have a completely collapsed economy. And so there might be other things that have arisen within that 4 years.
As the flag bearer of the NDC, he shared several plans the party intends to implement if they assume power in January 2025.
The main focus for us would be the economy, resuscitating and consolidating the economy, because that affects everything else we talk about. If you don't have a buoyant economy that is growing, then nothing else, works properly. The next priority will be to create jobs, to make sure that we stimulate the private sector, put investments in places and ways that will create job expansion for our numerous young people to have work to do.
During his visit, Mr. Mahama addressed stalled developmental projects in the Volta region, expressing plans to repurpose the idle Ho Airport and other developmental initiatives.
Don't be discouraged that passengers are not yet flying into the airport, even medical evacuation. Any of us here can be sick and will call the Air Force and say, can you come and pick us? If there were no airports here, how will they come and do that? The plane can land, pick somebody. If there's been an accident or a disaster, they can come and pick the people. So there are a lot of uses for that airport, and I'm proud that we built it. It's not a waste of the people's resources.
Mahama also called on the government of Nana Danko Akufo-Addo to abandon the idea of imposing a value-added tax on utility bills.
Today, Dumso, they are kicking it like a football. Why? Because he wants to kick it over the 7th January 2025 line and hand the trouble over to somebody else. And yet we resolved it before they came into office. Today, they put value-added tax on electricity bills and COVID levy, NHIL levy, Get Fund levy, all on electricity bills. And it's making Ghana a very difficult place to do business. All business people are complaining. I mean, the owner of this hotel who has given us this resort to do this meeting, you should ask him how much he's paying in electricity bills. And yet, because of the mismanagement of the president and his cousin and his vice president, it has plunged all of us into a difficult situation. And the point is, while you are raising revenue, reduce your expenditure. Because that's what any sane, reasonable person does. Because if you reduce your expenditure, you can ease the burden that you're putting on the taxpayer. If they cut down the expenditure of the office of the president, they've doubled it. Year on year, budget went up by 82 billion cedis. And so, if you reduce the rise of the budget in terms of expenditure, then you could reduce the incidence of tax. You might not need to place a value-added tax on electricity.
The former President John Dramani Mahama has been assuring the people of the Volta region of his commitment, one, to amend the 1992 Constitution to be befitting of today's democracy, and two, to help to resuscitate the economy. He's also been promising to put the whole airport to use, among many other promises. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Benjamin Akama from the home municipality of the Volta region.